Nobody enjoys swallowing sticky, gooey, gross-tasting cough syrup, and I don't know anybody who enjoys getting stabbed in the arm with a painful needle. And I can't tell you that I enjoy swallowing those really long, big pills that are really slimy. Hello, my name is Thea Hartzell, and I am from the Flying Hoofs 4-H Club of Howard County, Iowa. And today my presentation for all of you is how technology has impacted medicine. For colds and influenzas, people turn to medicine for symptom relief. For headaches and injuries, people turn to medicine for pain relief. People also turn to medicine to help with disorders and to treat cancers. Medicine can also serve as a preventative. Whether in pill or capsule form, syrup form, or shots, medicine is a very important invention that has helped people battle their body conditions when their antibodies just aren't enough. Over the centuries, medications and medical practices have evolved from insignificant and unsterile methods to advanced and effective new ways to treat body conditions. Medicine is defined as an agent, such as a drug, to treat an injury or a wound. It is any remedy for the use of treating, preventing, or alleviating the pain of an injury or the symptoms of a disease. The word medicine is derived from the Latin word medicina, meaning the art of the healing. Uses. Medicine is used to prevent disease, to control disease, to deal with disorders such as ADD, ADHD, depression, bipolar, etc., to alleviate pain, to fight infection, to vaccinate, or to prevent or maintain pregnancies. During the 1700s, knowledge of medical practices were basically obsolete. The body and its cures were still a mystery to scientists. Europeans believed in vitalists, which were basically doctrines that believe that the body can heal itself by thinking positive thoughts. Iatrochemists were also very popular. They believed your inner fluids needed to chemically align in order to heal your body. Iatrophysics were much like iatrochemists, but rather their beliefs were based off of physics. Bleeding with leeches was a common practice to extract sicknesses. Medical practices in the 1700s most commonly did more harm than good because people did not wash their hands, they worked in unsterile surfaces, and they did not wash their instruments. Most medicines were botanical, meaning that they were derived from plants. Crazy treatments for coughs including shooting heroin and sniffing hydrochloride. Mothers even fed their teething babies up to 65 milligrams of hydrochloride, or straight morphine to them. During the 1800s, practices during the 1800s were still not obsolete, but they were greatly advancing. Sore throats were treated by drinking scalding hot water. Cough syrup was made from boiling beetroot bark and water. Burns were treated with salves made out of whipped egg whites and sugars. The medical field got its first big boost when Louis Pasteur discovered germs, which are tiny microorganisms that cause disease. Charles Bell and Francis Magendic discovered the difference between sensory and motor skills. Franz Joseph Gall researched skulls and their depressions to determine bodily and personality traits. These discoveries have helped set guidelines for modern-day medicine makers. During the 1900s, the 20th century was a big leap for the medical field. The first open-heart surgery was performed, vaccines were created to fight polio, and the first analgesics or painkillers were made. Scientists found a way to treat diabetes for the first time, and more pharmaceuticals were available over the counter to treat a wide range of diseases, infections, glaucoma, and arthritis. In the 1950s, children's vaccines came out to treat illnesses such as polio. By the late 70s, confidence in the medical field became much greater. Medicine forms. The history of pills. It is said that the pill capsule containing medical substances date back to roughly 1500 BC. At first, they were not used to hold medicine for oral consumption, but rather to measure amounts out. Before 4,000 years ago, the contents inside of capsules were strictly liquids. The first pill to be considered invented was from Egyptian descent. Papyrus plants were filled with ingredients thought to be remedial, such as honey, bread dough, and even grease. Other early pill ingredients include, but are not limited to, saffron, myrrh, cinnamon, tree resins, and other botanicals. In the early days, pills were referred to as katapotia, meaning something to swallow in Greek. Beginning in the medieval times, pills began getting coated in slimy plant substances so they would go down easier. Medicine offered in pill form was all the rage during the 1700s, and pill makers even had patents from the kings to protect their special techniques and molds. During the 1800s, the pill got a lot of more new looks, including sugar coats, gelatin coats, and gelatin capsules. In 1843, a British man, William Brockenden, invented a new kind of pill. To make his version, powder was solidified with a mallet in a tube. This is what we call the modern-day pill. These are gelatin pills. The history of shots. Shots are typically used for vaccination and have been for the past 2 centuries. If a health specialist was asked to list 10 important technologies in the medical field, he or she would surely list vaccines. Just a century ago, the death rate for both infants and children was at a staggering 20%, and because of vaccines, this percentage has gone down drastically. Edward Jenner created the first immunization in the 1790s for the smallpox disease. He thought of the idea while visiting a village that seemed miraculously unharmed by a very contagious disease. He then later discovered that this community had already been affected by the disease and was grown immune to it. Because of this experience, the concept of vaccines was born. In the early 1800s, Britain banned the use of shots. The use of shots for vaccines was highly discriminated against, not because of the germs were not known of at the time, but because of privacy rights and religious beliefs. Eventually, vaccines proved to be effective and safe if administered correctly. The history of syrups. Early syrups were botanical, and a lot of modern-day syrups still are. Herbal remedies were common in the beginning. Heroin, codeine, and other opiates were used commonly in over-the-counter syrups, but then were later banned in the 19th century when it was realized of their addictiveness. The following inventions have affected medicine by replacing it, making distribution easier, and even inventing new methods. Inventions in the medical field include syringes, the stethoscope, vaccines, contacts and eye care practices, contraceptives, the autopsy, and cardiac stimulators like the AED. In conclusion, who knows where the world would be today without medicine, but what we do know is that medicine in all of its forms and practices has greatly advanced since creation. After my presentation today, hopefully you have learned more about the different types of medicine forms, different inventions in the medical field, and medicine in the 17, 18, and 1900s. Thank you for your time today. Are there any questions? The question was, how did I become interested in this topic? I was assigned a assignment in school where I needed to think of a topic that has been affected by technology, and I thought medicine would be an interesting thing to learn about. Are there any other questions? This is my works cited. Some of the sites include kidshealth.org and webspace.com and bookregs.com. Are there any other questions? Yes? The question was, do I like getting shots? I don't really mind it. Are there any other questions? If there are no further questions, this is the end of my presentation.